Right. Hey, everybody. This is my first time being multicast to all these different streaming services at once. Tracy's done it a couple times. And wow, that was actually pretty easy.
It's so easy, right?
Just click it from the button and boom.
We're live.
We're live. Now I did have something in there that made me wonder, all right, did I need to do something? Because there was a checkbox option if we wanted to authenticate or not, and the answer was no, so I didn't. So that's great.
Right. And I think we could have chosen to make that the case, but because of how we're managing Restream, Cody and I said it, so it would be simple for any one of our team members to be able to go live. So you can set that so the authentication happens, but we set it as no. So,
all right.
Okay.
And interesting thing, just from my perspective as a user, because I've always only done the Facebook live to Facebook thing before, and I would obviously through Zoom log into Facebook, and then once I'm in Facebook, it's showing me our stream there, right?
Okay.
Which it's not showing me the stream anywhere right now. So my only point is,
mine says custom live streaming service up at the top.
No. It's telling me in Zoom. I agree with that. I have a feedback loop that we're live. I'm saying I have another monitor over here and I'm not seeing it anywhere and I'm not monitoring it. So my only point to our customers here is it helps if you have another person on your team monitoring that in case there's any comments.
Well, so right? Tom, you could on your other screen log into Restream and actually look at it because the chat's going on over there and you can see things that are happening over there. So you can see what's going on if you were logged into Restream. So that's something that you can do if you had to manage it by yourself.
So then I would have visibility to all the chats or whatever comments there are on any of those platforms.
But
okay,
I believe
cool.
so.
Well, for today, I won't do that. I might do that in the future because we have Cody.
So here's another tip that we're going to do before we actually start our episode is that first off, we're live streaming to the open public, right? So because we can't restrict this to only the Brandcasters Facebook group. So we have this open to lots of people who don't know us. So we dived in, but we never said, hey, it's Tracy. Hey, it's Tom, right? So you may want to do that in the beginning as you're establishing your live streams. You may want to go in and you may want to announce that out. So for all those out there in the live streaming who are just stumbling upon Tom and I, you're probably connected to us in some way, shape, or form, been connected with Podetize, been connected with Brandcasters, been connected with Tom Hazzard or Tracy Hazzard, right? You've maybe been connected to us before and you're seeing us live stream here. Here's what we're doing. So I am the CEO of Podetize. Tom is the CTO of Podetize, and we are using our group coaching that we do every single week at noon Pacific time. We are doing this live so that other people can get tips, ideas, ways to manage their podcast and their podcast ecosystem, including their website, including all kinds of different things, their social media, including all of that ecosystem, ways to do that. You're going to get, we're trying to help more people stay podcasting. That is our ultimate goal here. And by doing so, we decided that we would open this up to the general public, although our clients get only the special ability to ask questions and be helped because it is a coaching call. So we would continue on and we handle all of the Q&A, but only from the Zoom that happens by being a Podetize client. So that's what we're doing here. That's what you're getting a sneak peek into. You're getting to see what we're doing. And today we're going to talk about something kind of interesting. It's like the use of a showcase player to be able to highlight your own guest interviews if you're a guest on some other shows, or you might use it to highlight your show, right? It's something that you normally would use as a podcaster, but mainly we're going to talk about it from a guest interview perspective today. So Tom, shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we're going to model exactly how we record our podcast in the midst of recording. I think this is getting really meta. So we're going to not only are we going live to support all of you, and we're demonstrating to our community how to go live, but we're also recording our podcast while we're live, while we're in our group coaching calls. So it's really getting meta here. But we are doing that. So we're going to record a feature brand episode right now. So I'll get started because you're going to handle the main part of this episode, Tom.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Give me 1 second because I am getting, oh my goodness. So talk about, I'm going to date myself. going back to like that movie Speed, where they had the helicopters filming the crime in action, and that's like interactive TV, whatever they do is live on TV. Well, Scott Carson just texted us with a screenshot of each of us on Twitter right now. So it's relevant to this, but it caught
See,
my attention.
we're getting really meta. Right. So,
Pretty
okay,
funny.
great. Awesome. Lots of fun here. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to Feed Your Brand. I'm Tracy Hazzard, and along with my partner and co-host Tom Hazzard, we are going to talk today about how to showcase your guest interviews, being a guest on other people's podcasts, and how to establish credibility through the use of a ShowCastR showcase player, a player that shows all the podcast episodes you've been on. So Tom, I'm going to let you take it from here because this ShowCastR was your vision.
Well, and I want to be clear because, a lot of you podcasters who are existing podcasters out there, are familiar with, usually your media host has some sort of a window player. Sometimes it's called an archive player, or just a player where there's a list of all your episodes and anybody can play it. And that's a pretty common thing. But they're also quite limited. And, when Tracy and I, well, we've been podcasting for a decade, and we've got an awful lot of episodes. We have lots of different shows we've done, and we've experienced a lot of things. And we found that those kind of players didn't meet our needs as podcasters. And if it didn't meet our needs as podcasters, it probably didn't meet a lot of other podcasters' needs too. So Tracy and I are very creative people. We develop products. Our whole career, we've developed products. So our solution is, all right, if it doesn't exist, let's just make it. So we did. We created our own. We have trademarked it as the ShowCastR, and we're going to share with you what it can do and what's different and why you might want to use it. Because it really, here's the thing. You have so many episodes of your show. Once you get to a point where you've got at least 25, maybe 50 episodes, for most of you, that would be 6 months to a year in, you may want to draw people's attention to some episodes. New listeners coming in, they're going to listen to the latest episode and maybe start at the beginning and binge through them all. But maybe there's 6 key ones that you really think are foundational. You want new listeners to start with those. Or let's say you've been podcasting a long time, just like me and Tracy, and you get to the point where you have over 300 episodes. Now, most listening apps, there are some exceptions, but most listening apps won't display them all. And so what do? You create another volume of episodes. Your oldest ones maybe are in the new volume, and your new ones keep going where everybody is subscribed. But people who find your show want to go back and listen to some of those earlier ones. And, you have to syndicate your show again, but that's only in the listening apps. What about on your own website? How can you organize that? How can you make navigating through your content easier? Here's some of the problems we faced and why we created the ShowCastR. We realized we can't just make this a linear player.
Right. And thinking about this from the perspective of if you've been on a lot of podcasts, a lot of people go on, I'm going to call it podcast guesting binges, right? Where you go on a bunch of shows because you're marketing this book, then it's your new book. And it might have a whole different topic set that you're doing it. Like I think 150 or 200 episodes I've guested on. And I had them segmented into, sometimes I talk about product design and development and innovation, and other times I talk about podcasting, and other times I talk about content for marketing and, general entrepreneurship, women in leadership. So like there's all these different segmented topics that I cover. And by putting them only in time linear order, you're doing your listener a disservice. You're doing the person who's coming to your website trying to navigate that a disservice. Or in the case of press and publicity, you're not highlighting the most important by just highlighting the most recent. And so that's why we structured and built the ShowCastR the way we did, so that it gave us a real high ability to establish more credibility, authority, whatever your current mission is in terms of what you're trying to get people to listen to, find out about you, and being able to build that in. And then also being flexible to those who have podcasts and guest interviews at the same time, giving you the opportunity to have both in the same place on your website as well. So you can do multiple tabs and feeds in this sense. sense. And so this is why we built it the way we did, to be able to showcase what you're doing and guest interviewing and podcasting, being able to showcase both at the same time for you.
And really, you used a key word there, Tracy, that I think is very important. And I think most people will understand because of how modern browsers, web browsers work. You said different tab. And so that's really what we've done. You know, if you've seen any of these typical players, and by the way, we also have a patent pending on this. So just so everyone's aware, I mean, this is new and innovative. You've got a list of all your episodes in your feed. Well, why can't you have a second tab with a different playlist, a third tab, a fourth tab? There's really no limit to it, at least that we've
Visually,
set.
that's a lot of tabs. If you get beyond 5, I think it gets a little busy, but you can.
Well, and we have one deployed right now with 4 tabs for our 3D printing podcast, which was our first podcast, and there's over 650 episodes. So we've got 4 different volumes of content, and I'm contemplating a 5th right now. So I'm probably going to push the edge of that envelope a little. But, you know, the power of these tabs really allows you to curate playlists, you know, like you said, of your guest interviews or your own podcast, and have highlight different playlists. And it really works incredibly well, because you could be listening to one episode that you know you're starting to listen to, you're playing it on the website, you're listening to it, and then your viewer, your listener, your user can browse through the other tabs, look through different episodes while they're listening to one, and, you know, even expand to read the description of each, or click a link within it and open another browser tab, but you're still listening to that first episode. So some really innovative features. And then, of course, at any point you can click to play any of the other episodes in any other tab that you want, and it will start playing. So this is one of the main key features, is, you know, not to limit yourself. And fortunately, with the tabs, you know, how do you create those playlists? Well, we have a way to do that, and we've built that into the Podetize hosting platform. So this player is really designed to work with shows that are hosted on Podetize.
But it doesn't have to. It's if
It
you have
doesn't
you
have to
have to
be.
have multiple feeds if you want to
Right.
use the multiple tabs. So if you do have more than one show, and I have a lot of clients and a lot of people who have past shows. So their feeds are still active. They have old shows. Maybe they're putting them on a free service, so that free syndication service, right? Free hosting company, so that they don't have to keep paying for them, but they're old and they don't want to get rid of them because they know they still have listeners to them. So you might have your old shows or old branding of your show, and you can put them in the separated tabs. As long as you have a separated feed, it works. And so Tom's going to do a demo of it that will be in the blog post for this episode. So he's going to do a full demo of how it works, how it looks. But I really just want to dive into one thing Tom was talking about, and that is that when you put this on a page, and he was talking about people tabbing, searching, like doing things, this is what you really have to remember, that the power of having a showcase player of any kind, a player for your show, whether it's your podcast show or your guest interview shows, the power of having it is that people can listen right there on your website, which means they're getting your pop-ups, they're seeing your sidebars, they're sticky, they're staying on your website, which is giving you Google Analytic power, which is making your website more powerful in search engine optimization. So by making a place where they can listen and not have to go out to an Apple player or a Spotify player or some other player, it gives them an ability to listen right there. And then for people new to podcasting, and remember, not everybody, we're a little like, jaded because we've been in the podcasting industry a long time. We think everybody knows about podcasting. But I mean, honestly, my mom thinks that podcasting is YouTube. So like she watches podcasts on YouTube and she knows she's watching a podcast, but she thinks that that's where it is. She doesn't use a podcast player at all, but she will use it on a website because it's really clear how to click and play. So by doing that, you're being really friendly to people who may not have experience with podcast players, their directories themselves, apps, if you want to think of it that way. They are new to it. And now you've given them a way to consume what you've got going on for you. One last feature that I really want to point out is that you can put these behind a pay gate and keep it in your membership areas and make things really clear for like newbies. Have a tab for newbies that are new to it. Have ones that are, for experience. So you can also segment it when you've got a learning environment. You can segment your podcast episodes and make it simple for them in that area as well.
Tracy, I want to add to something you said, because I think you sort of did the equivalent of bearing the lead on one of the major values of this as a guest, meaning I don't care if you're a podcaster or not, but if, when you're a guest on other people's shows, what I see really all the time, I don't even know of any exceptions except for you and some of our customers in podcasting who have a lot of guests that we've done this for already as some of our tests, which are actually some of the ones I'm going to use in the demo, is that normally when you're a guest on someone else's show, how do you share it with your audience? You share people a link to that episode you were on that takes people out somewhere else from your website to go listen to it, even if you
right.
have
You're
a link
talking about
on
a
your
social
website.
share, right? In
A
a
social
social
share
share.
or a social share, or you might have a press page or a media page on your own website. A lot of people do, and there might be a graphic for featuring you in that episode, or some little post you make on your own website of, hey, I've been a guest on all these other shows. But usually whenever anybody clicks it to listen, it takes them away from your website. Even if it opens a new tab, it's sending them somewhere else to listen to it. So the game changer of the ShowCastR is what you were saying, Tracy, that you engage people on your website. Let them play it there. It's someone else's show. Yeah, someone else's episode. But I've never had anybody say, no, please don't play that episode. Don't make it available for people to listen. I don't want you to do that. No, every podcast host wants exposure. And by putting it in a lot of the apps there and making it downloadable, they're making it freely available. And there's no copyright issue with this. So you're
not editing it.
You're not
just
editing
using
it, you're just
resharing
replaying it. Yeah, you're allowing people to play it just like they would anywhere else. And so it is, you're though taking advantage of it in keeping traffic active on your own website, providing that value there. And while they're listening, like you said, Tracy, they're sort of looking around through your top level menu on your website, or looking in your sidebar, maybe a pop-up comes up while you're watching, and then you're giving other ways to engage with that site visitor. And also does help your site value in terms of average time spent per page on the website, all those metrics of ranking of a website and SEO and all that. The more you keep people engaged, the higher that's all going to be, and the more benefit you get from your guest appearances. So that's really the main point, is why send people away from your own website? Don't do that.
Why not make it really easy to find out all about you? So I find on my speaker site, right? And I have a speaker site, I really don't use it. Like, it's not like I'm out there marketing it or sending people to it. But when people do use it, what happens is if an event organizer comes, it's really easy for them to just hit play, hear how great I am as a guest on a show. It starts make them think, oh, she's going to be great on our stage. This is going to be easy. And they've just gone through and consumed it. But because it's not my own show, it's me on somebody else's show, it has this third-party credibility that is really helping them to make that decision that, look at all these amazing shows she's been on. She's been guest of this person. That's our right audience. They can really easily see that right in one place by scrolling right down through the player. They don't have to skim through a bunch of blogs, look at a bunch of featured images, go in, as I put it, linear timeline order. They don't have to do it that way because you can organize it in whichever order you would like. So by doing that, you're really giving them the best first.
Yeah, I agree, Tracy. For all those speakers out there, I would have a tab that's, event organizers listen here, or something like that. Event organizers, with an arrow down, like this is for you, something like that, right? Because it is a way that a lot of organizers will make some decisions. I mean, they want proof, right? that you can speak intelligently. They want to hear it, even if they don't see it. It's
they
a
want to hear how
fantastic way.
engaging you are is really
Mhm.
what they're looking for. So yeah, so this is the whole idea of what we're built here, is really to make it so easy for you to organize and showcase what podcasts you've been on, whether it's your own or guest interviews, and really just highlight that and show off how great you are, and organize it in a way that make people want to take a step, hire you, buy your book, do the things that you really intended it to do. By organizing it in a better way, you can make that a clearer path to them understanding what it is that you're all about.
All right, Tracy, I think that's a great place to wrap this episode up. So don't forget, there is a demo and the blog post at podetize.com for this episode. And let's see, it's also for our customers in our knowledge base. So you can check it out there if you're listening to this first. And that's where you really get to see the ins and outs and see the magic, even see how you can color it, custom color it for your own branding. And by the way, each tab can be a different color scheme. I mean, there's lots of cool things we've put into this.
So have some fun and check it out at podetize.com, the blog post for the episode under the Feed Your Brand podcast.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been Tom and Tracy Hazzard on Feed Your Brand.
Okay, awesome.
Decided
So
not to throw
that's
it
how
to
we
you
do it.
this time, so
No,
we didn't
because
have
it would be too much
awkwardness.
back
Yeah,
and forth.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was really great. And so just so
Excuse me.
all of those people who are streaming too, you just saw us, how we record an episode, how we do it. And look, Tom and I, we didn't rehearse this. This is off the cuff. We didn't have, I mean, we generally
Well, we
have
had a
some
plan
notes.
for the
We had a
topic,
plan.
and
but
I
that's it.
actually planned all the demos to show during the podcast episode, but you called an audible and I was waiting, and I'm
So
now
you're
waiting to do
ready,
that for
right?
the demo.
You're ready to
By the
demo
way,
it.
I'm curious, and I'm stating this just for transparency with our customers who are on this call, to provide them value for what we're doing with the multi-streaming through Restream is what it is, correct? Cody, Tracy, is it Restream.io? Right. Obviously, I'm not the expert in it. I'm just using it here for the first time. Cody really did most of the research. Tracy and Cody know more about it than me. But during this webinar, I'm uncertain about something, and I'm curious. And I don't know that we'll be able to answer it, but a little feedback maybe from some of our customers who are on Zoom here. I'm even between you and me, Tracy, and we're in different rooms in the same building on the same internet. And I think we have been having a little challenge with some of our internet today, but I'm seeing a lot more sort of dropouts in your video. Your video was freezing at times for me during recording that episode that I don't experience in a normal week when we've been just streaming to Facebook. So is there something about the restream process that's a little more demanding on system resources or on the video that might be causing that? Or do we think that's really our internet connection is a little challenged today?
I didn't
Did you
see it at
notice
all.
it? You
No.
didn't. So I saw that with you. Oh, okay. Susan saying it seemed good for me. All right. So I'm just curious. That
It
may
might
just
just
have
be.
been me, because actually Cody's on this internet. You're on it. I'm on it. And it's a good internet. Okay. Scott says we didn't see anything on our side. Great. Thank you for
Awesome.
that feedback. I'm just curious. Now, of course, this is also another friendly tip for all you podcasters. When something like that happens, when you're recording, I generally say, and because right now I'm recording it, Tracy's recording it, and Cody's recording it. That's not a bad idea, because each of their recordings on our respective ends is going to be free from any internet dropouts because it's only local, right? And you don't always have to do that, but we've been doing that so that honestly, my recording of Tracy probably is going to have some of those video dropouts, but Tracy's recording of herself won't. And our video team can combine those two different ones. Right. So I would, as long as you as long as you're able to understand the other person that you're communicating with, that you're talking to in your podcast, if there's any video dropouts or audio dropouts, if you're using multi-track recording or each recording, you can ignore and disregard those video dropouts, as I did. I didn't reference them. I didn't say, hey, Tracy, restate that because the video dropped out. I just pretended like it wasn't happening And in this case, I think that was the way to go, because I know our video team's going to have multiple video files they can work with. If they see one isn't good, they'll use the best one. All right. So just a little recording tip, high end, or how do you say no? High maintenance tip, I want to say, because recording multiples means you have to gather recordings from each participant. A lot of time, if you let them record, and that's not always easy to get them to do. But I'm speaking about best possible quality. That's all. Okay.
Okay, so Anne's asking a question in the chat, which is how much and how many guest shows before you do a showcase player? So
Good
if
question.
you're adding a tab to the ShowCastR with a new show, my recommendation is 5 because of the sizing of things and everything. So you should have about 5 guest shows before you add them in. The ShowCastR, like when you're starting a brand new show and you've got a player, it's okay that they have 3 and then they get to 5. I mean, because they're good. You're loading every new episodes as you're launching a podcast. That's really fine. But if you're going to highlight guest episodes, at least have 5 before you load them in. I just think it's better for that. But you have to have a new feed. So you need to create a guest feed. So if you've got a Podetize account, that's a $29 account, then you only have 1 feed. If you have a $49 account, you have multiple feeds. That's how it works here, just so that you understand. If you've got a 99, you have multiple feeds too. So don't worry about that.
It's always been that way. We didn't change the pricing for this. It's, it's
just always been that way. You have multiple feed capability. So you have to upgrade to get the multiple feeds. But once you do that, all you have to do is you're self-publishing your guest episodes. So you're just dropping in the information about where you were on the show. You can kind of give it a slightly different title than maybe the host titled it, because maybe you don't need all the information about you on there. Like you could just title it a little bit differently, or you can title it with the name of the show that you were on. So I make some slight adjustments to the title because it's what's being read in the player, not what the real episode is out on Apple. Right? It's not changing what's out on Apple. So it's right there. So you can do that. You drop in the link for it. Like it's super easy to publish it, and you just add them as you do new guest interviews, and you get an email back from the host that says, hey, you were on my show. Here's the link. Now you get it, and you just go load it into your player. So you're just constantly adding it to it. My assistant does it like every week. I have a new episode that I've been on, and they just add it to the player for me. And it's just constantly adding it. But start with about 5. I think that's good.
So for our customers that are done for you production customers, you have your account. If you're within your first year, your podcast has launched, you have access to multiple feeds already. You can create another show at any time. You go to the shows tab and you click add show. Now you have to give it a name, and you're going to have to create a square artwork for it, and give it a little description. Just fill in the basic information. Most of it isn't really going to be used anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. But you have to create a new show on our system, then you can upload episodes. Now, in the short term, this is not going to be in our demo recording, just letting all of you know, in the short term, meaning the next month or so, to create the ShowCastR, you need to write into us and request it, because you can't create your own embed code in the client portal. However, our coding team is currently creating a new tab on the left side of the client portal, which is going to be for players or player. I forget what we're calling it, where you'll be able to choose some radio buttons, pick colors, do whatever you want,
play with it,
and take a look at what it looks like, and then say, okay, done. And it'll generate you an iframe embed code that you can put on your own website.
Or send to your web developer to
send to your web developer. Now, if you're a web maintenance customer of ours, and if you don't know what that is and you need website maintenance support, reach out to us, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. Just had another customer had their website go down yesterday, and we didn't build the site. They had it. Just yesterday, they were on the site. They're asking a question about their site, and all of a sudden their site went down while we're on a Zoom call. And they're like, well, we can help you with that, but we need access to this and that. And they signed up for web maintenance on the spot, and our web team got their site back up within an hour. And now it's our job to get it back up in a
Right.
regular
But if
basis
you're
and
on
keep
web
it up.
maintenance, the point is that Tom's
point
trying to make
is-
here is that the point is that all you have to do is tell the team you want a new showcase player, and they'll ShowCastR, and they'll put
We'll
it in.
create it for you, and we'll put it in your website for you. So I mean, it is something do-it-yourself hosting customers are going to be able to use, although they will do it themselves. They'll put it in their website or give it to their web developer to do, but they'll be able to create it, test the colors, see what it looks like, decide what it is, change their order of episodes, create tabs, whatever they want to do.
But that'll happen sometime in November, so where they'll have access
Correct.
to doing it. In the meantime, all you have to
Correct.
do is ask us. As long as your feed is set, you're ready to go, and we'll create it for you, and we'll customize it for you. But Tom's going to
Yep.
show you what it looks like. So
Yep.
why don't we do the demo? And
Okay.
Tom, clearly, as you're doing the demo, because we might break them into multiple knowledge base topics.
Yep.
Try to keep it consolidated for what you're talking about, so that we could have cut points.
I will do that, but
Okay.
I'm definitely winging it here.
Okay.
All right.
Do your best.
All right. All right, so this is our demo of the ShowCastR player. I'm using this as an example from our CEO, Tracy Hazzard's, what she calls her Tracy Hazzard Getting Interviewed podcast. And this is on her speaker website, and a little information about her. And then you have this player. The colors are in alignment with her speaker website brand. You can see the cover art used for this is, her headshot. And then here is a list of, now Tracy actually has a podcast published out to the world of her guest interviews, which is just fine. A lot of people do that, but you don't have to do that. This could be done just for your website. So any of these episodes, you can go through, you can look at the description, and if there's any links, they will open a new tab from these descriptions in your browser, link out. And you can play any of them, and the latest one at the top is always what's here, and you just click to play it, and it will start playing. While you're playing it, you can still be perusing others and then decide, all right, I want to play this one instead, and it'll start playing that. But here's the key is, so all of Tracy's guest interviews are in this first tab, but then there's another tab with what Tracy regards as her top interviews, her best ones, and it's a finite list of 10 or 12 here. And same situation, you can play any of those right here, but then she's got other ones where she's been interviewed by other women. So we have her women interviews here, and then Tracy has expertise in product design and development and is sometimes interviewed for that on other shows. And so we have those episodes here that are just for her product design and development interviews. So you can see you can have 4 tabs. You can have more as well. We recommend keeping the tab names rather succinct in case you have multiple tabs or people viewing this on a mobile device. There is a mobile view and it works there very well as well. But keeping those tab names short is a great thing to do. And you can override that, even though the title of her entire podcast is Tracy Hazzard Getting Interviewed. We just overrode that to be getting interviewed. So whoops. So that is, let's see, we have a lot of other features here, like if one of these tabs is actually syndicated as a podcast, you have your subscribe button where people can go subscribe to that podcast to be getting all those new published episodes in the future. You have the ability to download any of those episodes. Click here to your rate and review page to rate and review the podcast on Apple. You can also flip the order here from, I think it's, whoops, that was a download button. Flip the order from most recent episodes to the oldest. You can change the list. You can also play back multiple speeds. So these are, and obviously your volume. So these are features you have on most players, the key difference being the curated lists and different tabs of different content that you can use. And we have a podcast episode talking more about this, which in the knowledge base there's a link to that there. Then I want to show you some different versions here. This is another customer's player. Again, this just shows you, hey, the color schemes, you have a lot of options. They can be colored to be in alignment with your brand. And again, your main, all your interviews that you've been on, and boy, Scott here has a lot of them. But because you have a lot of them, maybe you want to highlight, hey, your, 8 or 10 favorites. These are the ones you think are your best and you want people to listen to. So you curate that list. Another feature I do want to share is the real color capabilities here regarding tabs. So I'm going to, you won't hear this, but I'm going to play this episode and I'm going to decrease the sound. So I'm not really hearing it in my ear as I'm demoing here, but you will, while you're playing this episode, you can not only look through and read about other episodes in the list while you're playing this one, but you can look at the other tabs. Now, in this case, we've got different colors for each tab, and to highlight them. But why would we do that? Well, in this case, this is for podcast, I guess I would say volumes of a podcast that actually exist out there as different podcast people listen to and subscribe to. So each one of these shows has a different cover and a different color scheme. Now, it won't show up top till I start playing an episode. It's playing the one from the blue tab that I started with. But as soon as I go and I look at this one and say, oh, I want to play this one. Once I play it, now that one is going to populate at the top, and the color scheme changes with the current cover art for the tab for which you are playing an episode from. Same thing would happen, if I go on to this last tab. These are actually different color schemes that we used for one of our podcasts. And
But in this particular case, Tom, like this one's awful because it's unreadable. So this is a choice that you may want to make. And so we're showing you here, like, wow, this would go with my coordinates with my cover art, but it makes the words unreadable by using that green color. So what should I do and should I choose? This is where you can adjust this, customize this. And then once we change it on the code side, it changes here.
sure, yeah. So in the Podetize client portal, you have a players tab where you actually can choose different colors and see what the display would be for that particular player, and you can change it and redo it and just see how it looks and get it to where you're happy with it. And then when you're done, it'll generate an iframe embed code that you can put right into your website. There's also a JavaScript embed code for those sites that require a JavaScript code. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. You can give it to your web developer and they will know what to do about it. But for most people, the iframe embed code will work just great. And let's see, anything else? I think I covered most of the demo. Tracy, was there anything else you think I missed?
No.
All right. Let's
Maybe just do a separate recording now of like all the different things that are customizable. Just like let them know.
On which one would you like me to do that?
I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like just show them where there are customizable colors and things. What's adjustable.
Oh, actually, that's a good point. Because there are some other things that are adjustable I didn't mention. Okay. So the ShowCastR player is significantly customizable, not only in color. You have a main base color, which you can see this blue around where the title is scrolling. You can, there's also some darker colors. An accent color you can customize, which is this darker color. That's the background here. And you can play around with that. They can be any colors you want them to be. Some are going to work really well. Some are not going to work well. So you want to test it. Some of the other things that are customizable is the font. And I don't have a good demo of that right here, but there are 4 different fonts, 2 sans serif fonts and 2 serifed fonts. What that means, serifs are kind of little, tails. Like if you had an I and it's just straight, that's sans serif. If you have an I, capital I, that, it has sort of tails at the top and bottom, those are serifs. And we've got 4 different font options for you. I'll have to re-record this demo when I have 4 of those to show you what they are. But for now, just understand you can customize this, the fonts that are displayed for the titles of all these episodes, as well as the descriptions, to be just more in alignment with your website design and some of the fonts you might have on your website. size, there are some size customizations. Now we recommend, and I hope this is gonna record well, but the player is responsive. So if you make your browser narrower or wider, it's gonna change to fill up that space. You can force it to not go beyond a certain width and limit it. And you do have ability to do some of that, as well as in the vertical size of it. Like if you only wanted it to display 4 or 5 episodes, you can shorten the vertical height of the player. And it is all mobile friendly, mobile responsive as well. So that's automatic. We definitely considered mobile. Let's see, what else is customizable?
Subscribe links.
Oh yeah, okay. So you do have subscribe links here for, if you have if this is for a different, each of these tabs is for a different show that is syndicated as a separate podcast in all the listening apps, you can have as many subscribe links here available as you want. Literally, you just copy and paste the subscribe link for each different show out there on whatever app you want, and people click it and it'll open a new tab and take them there to your show there, and then they can subscribe if they want to be a regular listener. Yeah, I don't know what else there is, Tracy. You think
No, I
there's
think
anything
that's
else?
it. That's
All right.
good.
So let me stop the share. Are there any let's see, any other questions we missed?
So
This is a
Rosie's
lot.
asking about how you get on the list. And the thing is everybody's on a list of having theirs converted over. So if you're already a production client, you're getting converted as is.
Yeah, I'd be
But
surprised if we weren't using it already on your site, Rosie. I'll have to go take a look. Actually, I can look right now.
yeah. So, but if you're not, Cody just bumped you up to the top of the list, so don't worry about it. Anne already has it on hers because
Yep.
Anne
a
syndicated at the
relatively
time
new
we
site.
launched it, so she
Yeah.
was lucky she got it. So right at that moment. So when you have a new site, you're automatically in with it.
Now, if you want one created, Rosie, for if you have a bunch of guest appearances, that's a different discussion, and we can talk about that and support you on that as well. We would just need a list of all of your guest appearances of those episodes so that we can load them into a feed.
Right. And Tom, you can have more than one on your site. So you can have one in your
Mhm.
press page. You can have one on your podcast page. You don't even so you can have multiple players in more than one place on your website, correct?
Yeah, you can honestly, these showcase players, not only can you have them put on multiple pages of your own website, you can have them on multiple websites if you have more than one website, or if somebody else, for whatever reason, another organization, another person, it doesn't really matter, wants to make your podcast available on their website, you can give them the iframe embed code and they can put it on their website. Yeah, Rosie does have a ShowCastR for her show
That's what
on
I
her
thought.
website already. This is the ShowCastR, just for those of you that would like to see. Actually, I really like the coloring on this one.
Oh, I like her colors.
Yeah, well, they're in
looks really
alignment with
good.
her brand for her website, which makes perfect sense.
Yep.
So, and then obviously your episode blogs are below. But yeah, this is perfect. Now you can either add another tab to this one if you had guest interviews and you wanted them here, or if you had a whole nother page on your website about you as a speaker or as a guest, a media page, press page, whatever, can have a whole nother one on that page. Could be same coloring, could be different coloring. Those are all choices, but it would be, obviously your appearances on other shows. Or let's say, remember what I talked about, maybe you want to do a foundational series of start with these 6 episodes as a new listener. You could have a tab here for that, but maybe that makes sense. You want to have it on some other page of the website. It could be a whole nother player. It's no
Under
big
your
deal.
press page or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. You already got it. And I thought most of them did. So I was shocked if you didn't have it. So because we mostly converted almost everybody. So I think there's a few people who still haven't because of issues with their websites. But
Well, we have, I mean, honestly, this has been a project as a company, and we have a team of people who are doing nothing but updating these things on every website. And I think the vast majority of these ShowCastR players are done at this point, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
There's some other initiatives going on with track players, which is a different thing. That's like within each blog. But that's because there was some changeover needed on some of those too. But
Yeah.
other than
And-
that,
yeah, anyway, so yeah, so there you go. ShowCastR, how to use it, how to customize it, how to make some more powerful website traction with it.
yep. And for now, I mean, we're gonna, and all of you, I think most of you, if not everybody on this webinar, at least now, not on the public feed out there if you're watching, but most of you on the webinar are done for you customers. And so if you need any changes, updates, or additional things, you just need to request it from us and we're going to do it for you. You will have the power in November, like Tracy said, to create another one of your own without even involving us. If you want to, you log in a client portal, you have the ability to do it.
Right. And so like
can.
thinking about this is like, if you want to use one for landing pages. So we've talked about doing that, and using it for landing pages is a great idea. So if you're creating, even if your landing pages in like lead pages or
ClickFunnels or something.
ClickFunnels or something like that, and they allow an iframe code, as long as they allow that, which most of them do. So as long as you can drop that in, you can drop in a player that's specifically for whatever that landing page is on. So if you're selling your book and maybe you do a few sneak preview chapters of you reading your book or doing something like that, you could drop that on your book landing page. So there's a whole bunch of things that you could utilize and ideas for how to use the ShowCastR player in marketing yourself. So the sky's the limit in this. I can't wait to see what people do with this.
Yeah, I like that tip. That's a good one, Tracy.
Yeah. So.
All right.
So any other questions? Do we have any questions anywhere else, Cody?
Any out on
none right now, but I'm
You're
trying to
monitoring?
increase engagement as well too.
Good for you.
No worries.
Good for you. Good for you. So, okay, good. Well, please re-explain about the book tips. So let's say you had a landing page, not on your website, but some people just have landing pages that are very separate when they're marketing a book or a course or something like that. And they don't always put it on their website. They have a landing page in a separate place.
It could be a lot of times a book publisher, if you're working with a traditional book publisher, will create a brand new website just for that book launch. And it's essentially, it's a new website, but it may just be one page.
It's just a page about the book, pre-selling the book, right?
Yep.
You could do a podcast player there that is, special interviews from some of the people in the book. Maybe it's just, especially if you interviewed them on your show, or it could be you reading some of the chapters of your book. I hope that you don't read it in a really dry way, but it could be like, as if you did a reading at a book event. So there are ways to do these things that can really make it like behind the scenes stories. You can do some things that are engaging them in the landing page that might be a way to market the book and get somebody in, so that by getting them to get excited about the book so that they'll click the button and pre-buy.
Or I think you could also do this, Tracy. It's like bonus content. If you buy the book, then you get access to this special membership area where you have to log in to get to it. And then you get more behind the scenes info, in-depth interview. It could be, again, a deeper dive, things that are not just in the book or available
So then
publicly.
It's like the click-through page. So they sign up to get the book, and then they get the click-through page that lands them on the ShowCastR page that is playing that bonus content for them right then and there. So they get an immediate response. They get an immediate result from that. Way easier than waiting for the book to publish, right? Getting that podcast episode out or getting something like that. So these are just ideas of how you might use this ShowCastR player to help you market things.
All right.
So, and we have some people who I think I would say write their book from a podcast.
Oh, we
from
do.
Their
We have
podcast interviews.
customers
We
that
have
do
many
that.
customers. John Livesay is a perfect example of them. That's a great use for a tab or a great use for a ShowCastR player on your book page is all the interviews from the people who are featured in your book. That you can put out immediately while you're pre-selling the book.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's it. I think we're
I
good
guess
for
we'll wrap
today.
it up. Yep. Thank
Well,
you
thanks,
for
everyone.
attending, everyone. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. And next week, our topic is, we have it on the calendar, so I'm going to totally go to it right now. Our topic on the calendar is about podcasting energy. That was asked from one of our new clients. So we're going to be talking about energy as a podcaster and how that energy comes across the microphone.
Lisa Cavender has been pretty active on Facebook. She says thank you, and she loved the
That one's for
information.
her.
All good here. Yep. So she's
That
excited for that
energy-
episode. Yep.
Yeah, that energy episode is just for her. I didn't want to out her, but I'm
Exactly.
glad she did. So
Sure.
great. Okay, good. Well, we'll see y'all next week. Looking forward to it.
Bye, everyone.